Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony, and did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message. On today's episode, hear from Nadine Spring, PhD. Nadine is an advocate for health equity and diversity within clinical trials. Her professional journey has reflected her dedication to addressing disparities in healthcare access and fostering inclusivity in research methodologies. Dr. Spring is an assistant professor in public health and is inspired and committed to nurturing a new generation of public health professionals and advocates, instilling in them the values of equity, patient-centered outcomes, and community-centric healthcare practices. Welcome. Hey, welcome back to the Women Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I am so excited that Dr. Spring is with us today. Welcome, Nadine.
Oh, thank you so much, Julianne. It's my pleasure to be here. Happy to be here.
I'm so excited you are here. So let's dive into it. This is such an important topic. So let's talk about health equity. Like, how did you even get started in this?
Sure. So, when I was in high school, there was no way it was on my mind that I'm going to be working in health equity, that my name was going to be attached to health equity. But I graduated from high school, went on to college, studied biology, and I started working as a research assistant. And one of the things I realized while working as a research assistant at a, large medical center, top tier medical center in New York City, is that, the participants in the research studies, which is what really helps to drive science forward. This is what brings new therapies to the market. This is how new, diagnostic criteria is updated and changed. The participants in these studies were a very homogeneous group, right? But then when a study or a medication is approved or a diagnostic criteria updated or medical device is approved, it's approved for everyone. But we really don't have, the safety and efficacy data on certain subsets of the population if we didn't participate. For instance, if you had a heart study with all men in the study, right? But then the drug's approved, and now doctors are prescribing it to women because it's approved for everyone now. You may find out that women experience different side effects and adverse effects from this medication because there wasn't representation in the study to begin with, and we didn't have that data on women to really understand, the side effects and adverse effects of the medication until post-approval when everyone starts taking it. So I really started to realize, there's more that needs to be done to really raise awareness for underrepresented populations to participate in clinical trials so that, medicine and science can advance for all, not just the homogeneous groups that does participate in the trials right now.
That's so true. And, again, it's one of those things where oftentimes we just like blindly follow what our doctors say, right? And they're kind of blindly following what the FDA says.
Right.
Like we're all just kind of like, okay, instead of really going, pull those reins back for a second. And let's really look at the pool of which we're testing, right? To see if, like you were saying, if you're prescribing a heart medication that was only tested on men, well, women's bodies are different. Women's hormones are different, and therefore they can have different and adverse side effects. And so once you started kind of going, I can really help out here. How did you start to go, okay, well, like, here's where we need the change. Now, how do we start making the change? Like, what was that step for you?
So that step for me was realizing, okay, who's participating in the studies? We are seeing a lot of health inequities and health disparities. And that for me was enough to start saying, hey, we really need to raise the alarm, right? If we had clinical trials accessible and available for all, we can really help to bridge that gap between health disparities and health equity. And so that really is what made me want to jump into this. It's more of the health equity part of it, making sure that there's equitable care available for all.
I love that. And, I am an ambassador. That's hard to say. That's really hard to say fast.
Tongue
I
tied.
am an ambassador for March of Dimes. I had a set of quadruplets back in 2015. And last year I spoke at one of their galas, and it was so fascinating to me, just kind of the research that is being done with, even though I was living in Athens, Georgia, which is a big college town, we have incredible hospitals, but I still was not able to receive proper care for me and the extremely premature babies I was about to have, right? So I was sent away to another hospital, and it just really opened my eyes to how people in other areas don't even come close to having the care available for them. And so at Springwell 360, what is your mission? How are you implementing steps to move this movement forward?
Sure. And first of all, congratulations. I
Yeah,
know how
thanks.
hard it is to have one at a time. So I can imagine times four. But, the steps we're doing is, we are working most often with academic medical centers, small clinical research sites, as well as members of the community, whether those are churches or, community organizations, to help to raise awareness of clinical trials as an option to care. Now, if you look at it, all of the large medical schools, academic medical centers, they're all conducting clinical research, right? And because this is what, drives medicine forward, this is how we determine, what therapies are better, if drug A is better than drug B, and, helps to advance science. And so we work with small clinical research sites to help to train their sites on how to reach underrepresented populations because, we also have to remember that the reason why certain populations are so mistrusting of research of the medical community is because of, historical injustices and, exploitation that's happened in the past. So we need to really inform these communities to make the best decisions for themselves and let them know that, yes, we know things happened in the past, but we're doing our best to right these, wrongs and letting them know that there are committees and ethics boards in place now to prevent those things from ever happening again. And instead of, just blindly saying no, if you have a diagnosis of a condition for which there is no cure, at least consider a clinical trial because it may be your best option for, best outcomes.
Oh, that's so important. Because again, like you were saying, it's two-sided, right? Like we have to get everybody on board in the medical research scientific community, and we have to get everybody on board in all the other communities, the
In the
ones
lay
that are
communities,
involved,
right?
right, and taking these medications and being a part of these trials. And so what are some of the ways in which y'all are able to do that?
So, like I mentioned, partnership with certain communities and with small clinical research sites, as well as working with some academic medical centers. Going in, helping them to retailor their marketing efforts because what we have seen is sometimes they may have a one size fits all approach, and a one size fits all approach is not going to work. Working on decentralizing some of these clinical trials so instead of having so much burden on the participant to come to the clinical trial site maybe once a month or every other week, in some situations you may be able to have some of the visits done remotely. Send them a blood pressure machine, send them the equipment that's of what can be safely done remotely, so that can be safely done remotely, and we're still able to get reliable, data that is, it does not compromise the integrity of the study at all, but there are certain approaches that need to be taken so that we can reach a wider group of participants, including people who may be, not living too close to an academic medical center or a clinical research site.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. And are y'all nationwide? Or are you, located in a central state right now? What is your mission to
So
expand?
Right now, we are in the Atlanta, Georgia area, but my goal is to eventually expand nationwide, possibly globally, by having, a set of courses that people can take, asynchronously online and self-paced that will, help to even enhance the breadth and reach of where we can go with informing the public about clinical trials as an opportunity and as an option for their care.
Yeah. And how long have you been working in this field?
So, in terms of at Springwell 360 for about 2 years now, in terms of when I first saw this happening more than a decade ago, and then, the light bulb started going off. But then even though I started realizing the need to raise awareness more than a decade ago, I'm glad to see that the FDA is also finally realizing this. And a lot of this happened because of COVID. And, you
Right.
saw which communities were disproportionately affected. And so now the FDA is having recommendations, not requirements, so recommendations for pharmaceutical companies to have, diversity plans in their recruitment strategies.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's
Yes,
so important, again, that everybody just remains educated. And I love that you're putting, these courses out there eventually to help grow your brand of Springwell 360 because the mission is so important and it needs to be
absolutely.
in every state.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love that. So what
Yes.
else do you have going on?
That's about it. We do have, we attend conferences. Sometimes we may help to sponsor some of these conferences, have booths going on. We do have an internship program for public health and clinical research students. And so, yeah, we're keeping very busy, and with the interns that are coming in, they're also helping to spread the mission.
Absolutely. And so to, the listeners that are listening right now and they're like, I've got to be a part of this. I got to help spread the word. I want to be involved. I want to donate time. I want to donate resources. How are they able to, connect with you?
Sure. By all means, visit our website, www.springwell360.com, and sign up for our newsletter. Follow us on social media, connect with us there. Let us know what role you want to play, because this mission is bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. It really helps to advance health equity for everyone.
Everyone. Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone.
everyone.
It helps everyone.
Yes, for
Absolutely. And
sure.
what's your LinkedIn profile? I know that's where a lot of our listeners hang out.
So my personal LinkedIn profile is at Nadine Spring, but we also have, Springwell 360's business page on LinkedIn as well.
Great. Awesome. All right, Nadine. And what is one last piece of advice for, the Nadine that's listening, right? Of maybe 15 years ago. And she is in a business, she is in an industry, and she is having that internal dialogue happening, right? That little burning sensation in her belly saying, wait a second. There needs to be something new that happens here. We need to work on some things. What would you tell her in order to, hey, wait, really listen to yourself, trust yourself. And then what would you tell her to do?
Absolutely what you just said. Listen to yourself, have faith in yourself. Take that jump. Don't look at it as like a crystal ball. You can't keep bouncing it, right? If you bounce it once, it's going to break. So make sure that you are ready to take that jump and not just, bouncing and coming back and bouncing, but be ready to take that leap. That's what I would
Yeah.
say, 15 years ago. Be ready,
Yeah.
do it.
Just do it. It's so true. And
Yes.
we talk to women all the time who have this, they play with it so much in their mind, right? And it's so worse. It's so much worse in your mind than it is actually taking the step of action, right? Because we play out every worst case scenario possible, and then we have imposter syndrome that gets in
For
the way,
sure.
right? But it's like, no, if you feel called to this mission, then it's for a reason. If you see a need and you are determined and passionate about meeting that need, then it was presented to you for a reason, right? It was brought to your mind for a reason. It was brought into your heart for a reason. And there might be other people doing very similar things, but don't ever compare yourself to who else is out there doing things, because there are going to be people that will only hear it from you because they resonate with you. They resonate with your mission. They resonate with your brand, right? All these different things. And so what has been a little bit of your journey with that in starting Springwell 360? And, did you have any of those kind of things come up for you, or any way of like feeling like, oh, well, I'm a woman, maybe I'm not going to be embraced as much? Did you have any of those doubts?
Oh, 100%. I definitely had imposter syndrome. And I remember reading Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and thinking, as she talked about imposter syndrome, like thinking, this is what I'm going through. Like, who am I to talk about health equity? Who am I to talk about, wanting, better outcomes for everyone, right? Like, why would anyone listen to me? So, it definitely having that imposter syndrome, but then also realizing, hey, I've lived it. I've seen it. Like,
That's right.
Why not me?
Why not? Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that really has been eye-opening for me. But, culturally, it's like I've always been raised to be humble, but at the same time, I see the need for raising the alarm and thinking, why not me?
That's right. It's so true. And I truly believe you can be humble and hold humility and still be bold, right?
Yes.
And still use your voice and still use
Absolutely.
your giftings and your talents and all that. So why not you? Why not now, ladies? Let's go.
Yes. Yes.
It's go time. Nadine, thank you so much. This has been such an incredible interview. I will be sure to put all of your links and everything in our show notes so that our listeners can be sure to connect with you and help spread this incredible mission. Nadine, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, ladies, listen, if you are wanting to connect further with us or get involved in a chapter near you, visit womenleaderspodcast.com. Bye for now.